So that we understand the methodology, how the survey was conducted, what quality control measures were put into place, so that you are confident that this survey represents the views of the adult population in Kenya. As I had mentioned, the study was carried out very recently, so between the 29th and 1st of December, using our call center, which is computer assisted telephone interviews. Which means that you get a database of people and their numbers, and the randomizing that is normally done as we go to the field is done by a computer program that uses an algorithm that then picks out random numbers of people across the country. The beauty about this method is that you can call so many people from the confines of our office here in Nairobi without having to actually go out into the field. But in terms of representativeness, is just as good as going out into the field. The only limitation of a CATI study is that it can't be very long. Because if you can imagine, if we were to call you and ask you to do an interview, you'd not want us to talk to you for perhaps more than 10 minutes. So the sample that was covered in this study was 1,500 interviews. We only but covered half of the counties because the sample was small. It was not necessary to go to all 47 counties because the unit then would be very minute in terms of what we would be doing for analysis. And then the margin of error was very, agreeable at 2.5% at 95% degree of confidence. That generally means that 95 out of 100 times, if that question was asked, the answer would be the same. In extraordinary circumstances, 5% of that time, that answer that you will see may differ. What did we use to design the sample? Well, we're constantly guided by the census, which was done in 2009. So what we generally do is just extrapolate using the growth rate year on year. And then the data was analyzed using SPSS. This 1,500 sample generally represents 25 million adult Kenyans as it stands today. There were 19 million in 2009, but with the growth that we've had right now, adult population 18 years and above is about 25 million. And that is how the split is across the regions. The regions that are still used are the former 8 provinces. And you can see that 9% for coast therefore means that 9% of our population, generally right now, adult population, is at the coast. And then we have the largest adult population in Rift Valley, where we have 24% of the population. Nairobi, where we are sitting right now, has 10% of the population. And Northeastern has the smallest at 5% of our population. And that is then also how the sample is further split, proportionate to the size of the country, by the counties that were selected. And so again, it is proportionate to what the populations are of those counties within the country. So let me just, get into, what brings you here, which is the survey findings. And the first one is the fight against corruption. And when we asked Kenyans, in your view, is government doing enough to fight corruption in the country? Then we see that what the president, the DPP and DCI and the judiciary in combined effort are doing, and the media, because you're the ones who sensitize us on some of these scandals, the efforts that you have made are actually bearing fruit, so that majority right now, 52% are saying that, something is being done about corruption. Enough is being done about corruption. But we still see 43% of Kenyans feeling that a lot more needs to be done about corruption. And 5% are not sure. If we look at it by, the regions, then what do we see? We see that the regions that feel that the fight against corruption is on the right track, the most is Northeastern at 68%, Nyanza at 59%, Central at 58%, and Rift Valley at 54%. But we sitting here in Nairobi definitely feel that a lot more can be done with regards to corruption. In Eastern as well, 48% feel that, more can be done about corruption. And at the coast, we have the larger percentage of people at the coast saying that there should be more that should be done about corruption. Why are the people who feel that enough is being done saying that enough is being done about corruption? Well, the first thing is that there are regular arrests. They've seen, people being arrested. And the second one is that they have also seen prosecution of high-profile corrupt individuals, and that there is a good working relationship, especially between the ODPP and DCI. That is the Office of the Public Prosecutor and the, our Criminal Investigations Department. And then there are regular updates on the ongoing corruption cases. But the 43% which cannot be ignored, that feels that not enough is being done about corruption, basically say, one, corruption is still rampant. Only yesterday we were seeing, I don't know how many of you read the headlines, about a receptionist at a specific government parastatal who has, with his salary, been able to purchase, I think, 6 houses worth over 100 million. That obviously is questionable. And the good thing is that we have seen that the DCI is already investigating that matter. But the media has brought it to our attention. So the rampantness of corruption is one of the reasons why the people who feel that not enough is being done about corruption say that more needs to be done. The second thing is what action is being taken about over these corrupt individuals. We've seen that many corrupt individuals, and we've seen this when we talk to people in focus groups, always hide under the veil of politics. So that when they are corrupt and they know that they are in trouble, the first thing that they do is they go and get elected, either as governor or as MP or as senator, because that they know that that veil will actually protect them. And so for these citizens, what they're saying is not enough is being taken against corrupt individuals. And the question then begs that should there be different, forms of justice meted out to ordinary citizens vis-a-vis those citizens that we know for sure are corrupt and sit and hide under the veil of politics. And so that is also linked, therefore, to the lack of high-profile convictions. Which are the big fish that have been convicted? Who are they? Sitting in this room, we all know who they are. But at the same time, we know that they walk scot-free, and the people that we see getting indicted for corrupt activities are the watu wa mkono, not the actual people who benefit most from the corrupt dealings. And then most corruption cases are still pending, some of them 5-10 years old. And that, I think, then is a question that begs of the quality of investigations that are being done by DCI. And then, of course, the judiciary, and whether they in themselves are, conducting their role as an independent and efficient judiciary in the best way possible. There are also Kenyans who still feel that it's all talk, little action, in terms of how much, our leadership and the executive says about what they want to do about corruption. So that 11% of Kenyans say there's lack of political goodwill to actually really fight corruption. It's more about talking and PR as opposed to doing actual, fight and support for the institutions. But also mentioned there is the lack of results from the EACC, and we'll shortly see what Kenyans feel about their role in terms of, the activities that the EACC are supposed to perform. And then, there are other small but significant reasons that are given, that job opportunities are lost due to corruption, which is a fact because it affects the economy. And the question then is, how do we actually mitigate so that that is not happening and corruption is not affecting, the unemployment rate which we currently have, which is one of the highest perhaps in the region, if not the continent. What should be done? What did Kenyans say should be done to, strengthen the fight against corruption? I think this falls squarely on the door of our leadership, but also on the door of, the institutions that we have mandated to help us fight some of these, scourges. The first one is, that we should sanction individuals who are found to be corrupt. So a quarter of Kenyans feel that those individuals that are found to be corrupt should surely be investigated and actually, tried in the court of law and sentenced. We shouldn't be seeing them walking out freely and making proclamations that we know as Kenyans are actually laughable. The other thing that we must do as a country forthwith is start reclaiming the assets that have been stolen. So if someone has stolen 1 billion worth of assets, then why are the accounts not being frozen? Why are we not reclaiming the monies that are stolen? And what is the proof that that is being done? We have an office ourselves in Nigeria, and we see that right now government